Afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for your lunch or your brunch. It's your girl, Lady She, on Hot Micro Lady She podcast. I am excited for my guest on today. He is the host of his own podcast, Count the Cost. Excuse me, Count the Cost podcast, Mr. Reginald Reggie Reynolds. I'm excited to have this young man on because of divine connections. We met through the Launch Your Podcast Challenge through shout out to Mr. David Shands, the podcast king. And he just very humble, very down to earth, approachable, and he has no problem helping people. So I'm big on character. So that's why I have this man on. But he also has an amazing, amazing story that I would like for him to share with you, because we know that this platform is to encourage, to empower, and to also educate. So let's welcome my guest, Mr. Reggie Reynolds. Welcome.
You so much for having me. Like I was saying earlier,
Let me see what's going on. Can you hear me? Are you good?
yeah, I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. All right, there you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, hey, I'm super honored to be on this.
Oh, you're going out again. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yes. Thanks for joining.
Now I know I can't hear you.
Let me bring you out and then back in. This interview about to be so dope. That's why weird stuff popping off. All good. We're gonna push through.
I can't.
You good, Reggie?
Yeah, I can't hear you. Hold on. What's going on here? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you and I can see you.
I can't hear you.
Oh boy. All right. Go out and come back in.
I can't hear you.
All right. I'm gonna invite him back in and see what happens. We're gonna get this thing together. That's so good. Let me tell you about God, y'all. So this streaming device has been a little annoying because, like, what's going on right now, we have these amazing people come on, and it's intentional because I want them to educate us on the things that they're doing, and I want them to share their amazing stories of how they got to where they got to, and then stuff like this is happening. So I'm thankful. Huge shout out and thank you to my husband who sees my vision. So we are already making moves, to do our own thing. So I won't have to keep doing, dealing with this kind of situation. Because it's an injustice to the conversations, injustice to the interview. So just bear with us and thank you for joining. Share this live with somebody who may be at a place where they may be interested in starting a business, or they're at a place maybe because of the pandemic where they're forced to now try to figure out, like, what can I do, for money, or what can I do so my family can still be looking to me as, the head of my household, or what can I do as a mom, or my child is not looking at me like, now what do we do? That I jumped out there and I did this. This is what this young man, is on here to share his story of having no money, and then now he's where he is. Him and I also have something in common where I definitely want him to tap into. He was saying to me before we came on, he's like, yo, I didn't know you was working doubles and you doing a podcast. Like, yo, what? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, listen, I want people to understand that when you want to do something, you make time to do it. At the same token, your priority should also be to have peace. So if you're always running around, if you're like a busybody, or you're not organized, you're not doing things in order and decency and in order, you can get burnt out. And if you get to a place where, God is nudging on you that, he's pulling you out to do other things that are bigger than you have to start making decisions on that thing, which is maybe, leaving that job, or maybe leaving that toxic relationship, or maybe, learning how to say no to family who you've been saying yes to for 30 some odd years. And now as soon as you say no, they show their true colors. So, I really want him to share his story, of how he got to where he is and how he's able to pour into other, and how, like myself, he's created a platform where other people can come on and encourage, empower, and educate us on different things. Because right now, and this is just me speaking, this is my heart speaking, that, we need to be building communities of winners. We need to be building communities of champions. We need to be building communities of those who are successful, of those who are, making strides in their communities, of those who are, models and examples to our youth. We need to be making communities where the youth are looking up and saying, I want to be like this. If you saw my last episode with Mr. Moore, he shared that, seeing Dr. J coming from Long Island, he like, yo, I can actually do what he's doing. And, seeing and having encounters with, people like Mr. Adams, and black educators and black coaches, that, it made him feel like, this is something that can actually happen for me as well if I see the living example. So this is why I have, strategically and intentionally have certain people come on this platform, because they have stories where they're able to share you. I know what it's like to not have money. I know what it's like to be at a place where I'm like, yo, I gotta do something different, because for one, I know what's inside of me. I know there's greatness inside of me. So I can't just keep this thing going. I can't bottle this thing in. I gotta share it with the world. I gotta share it on a platform where people can hear and know that, listen, God has no respect of person. And if you push and you move with faith, that he will do it. Welcome, Mr. Reggie Reynolds. How we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing
Excellent.
great.
We got you. We got you. Got you. All right. So you can jump in. Just tell us who they just heard me ranting about you and about myself and about why we do what we do. But, tell us out of your own lips, who is Reggie Reynolds?
So I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and I have a little brother, little sister. I grew up in a single parent household, inner city. Um, I graduated high school, probably like a C average. Went off to college, didn't graduate on time. Graduated, became personal trainer at one point for about 3 years. Well, I was a firefighter for a year. Left that job, became a personal trainer for about 3 years. Then I became a police officer. I did that for about 6 years, and I'm married, wife and three girls, and then now I'm a full time entrepreneur.
Love this, love this, love this. So I wanted to tap into something. I was interested because, for those who may just be coming on, I had shared earlier that me and Reggie met through this challenge, launch your podcast challenge. Shout out to Dave Shands, the king of podcasts. He's so dope, y'all gotta follow him. And he's bigger than a podcast. I promise you. This dude here, he's the real deal. But Reggie had no problem answering questions. He had no problem, encouraging you or telling you different things that he was also learning at the same time you were learning. But one thing that just stuck out with me was David Shan shared how he was kind of habitual with not being able to hold a job for a certain amount of time. And then he gave himself a goal and said, listen, I'm going to keep this job for such and such amount of time, and then I'm going to do this. So you mentioned that, you were a personal trainer for a little bit. You were a firefighter for a little bit, then you were a police officer for a little while. Do you think that now you've gotten your niche, or what do you feel was, what do you feel had you not knowing what you want to stick to, if that makes any sense?
Well, first, I just kind of want to take back. I think so. Let me before I answer that, I kind of want to backtrack a little bit, and it'll lead up
Go
to your
ahead.
question. So, a lot of people don't know this about me. I suffered a lot from insecurities growing up. Grew
Okay.
up in a single parent home. My mom eventually got married to my stepfather, and my stepfather, he just worked. You know what I mean?
Right.
No really compassion, love. Taught me some essential stuff with being a man.
Mm-hmm.
Iron your clothes and take the trash out, being responsible, things of that nature. But he always just worked. But I
Right.
grew up with a lot of insecurities because I always wanted to be a part of like some type of community and things of that nature. So I think with the transitions of different areas, I didn't have I had insecurities not knowing where I fit in, right? Because in
Right.
school I was like a CD student, and I think a lot of that came from my biological father not being there, and kind of like just I always was in fights and things of that nature, had a lot of aggression or whatever, playing around class clown. As far as the jobs, I always been this type of person that had questions. Like I
Right.
just didn't do things just because you told me to do them, or
Hmm.
I just didn't do things because you said it makes sense. I always had to know kind of the why. I've always just kind of been like that. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I would get in trouble in school.
Hmm.
Um, to answer your question, the reason why I could not keep those jobs and transition to entrepreneurship is because I think number one, um, I
Mental
didn't
health.
really, I didn't really know. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't really know my place, and I didn't really know who I was eternally, right? Like
Hmm.
I didn't like school. Well, I thought I didn't like school. That's totally changed now. I didn't like school. I lack education, and I lack the knowledge, right? But going off into entrepreneurship, I actually love education because it's something I love to do. I found my niche, I found my service, and I found where I actually fit in at, right? And it's
Hmm.
not a necessarily group. It's like I found my place in life. All praise to the Most High.
Yeah.
Um, and just to kind of dive in just a little deeper, I'll say this: on my jobs, I always wanted to give service, right? I always wanted to serve the community in some form or fashion. The only thing is, with serving community, being a firefighter and a police officer, you see nothing but depression. Depends on where you work. I worked in the inner city. We're like the top 10 as far as per capita as far as murder, the homicide rate.
Right. Right.
And so, like, you know, you're constantly seeing depression in your own neighborhoods you grew up in. You're constantly seeing people going through things. You constantly try to go in those communities and give a service, and those people don't want you. And so, I even had some uh, depression within myself, and had some things to where I would even become what they call it on your job when you just don't want to be there or whatever. I forgot the term that they use for it,
AWOL?
but I no, not AWOL. Where you just kind of burnt out. I was
Oh,
burnt
burnt
out.
out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was definitely burnt out because you're constantly seeing that. But now as
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, I found my own lane. I found what I love to do, and I'm still giving that same service within my community.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So tap into where you are with entrepreneurship. Let the people know what you do.
Okay, so I'm a podcaster first. I'm the prince of pod. I call look. I'm just playing. I'm a prince of podcasting.
That's it. Speak it.
Um,
Speak it.
I love podcasting. I joined the podcast challenge as you talked about earlier, and a week later I was already shooting episodes, had my logo, had my videographer, and then the week after that I launched my podcast with 13 episodes in. Count the Cost Podcast. You can find me Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, any platform, iHeart. Um, and my podcast is geared for people that's working a 9 to 5 that want to become entrepreneurs. You don't necessarily quit your job to be an entrepreneur, but if you just inspire to become an entrepreneur, I interview incredible full-time entrepreneurs that and I talk about their journey from their transition from their 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Listen,
And
y'all have to check out his podcast. He got some
yeah, I
dope people
appreciate
up
it. And
there.
I'm also a real estate investor. I flip
Mhm.
homes, have a few rentals, and I own a dump trucking company.
Yes. So now tap into, you know, where did this come from where you want to do these particular things? I know everybody know the first thing when we see millionaires, we're looking to them like, what do they do? They always say there's 7 streams of incomes for sure that they have going on that makes them this big mogul, this the thing. So we know real estate is definitely one of them. But what made you go into the dump truck industry?
Yeah, well, before I tap into that, let me actually give you all to like the real story, right? Because
Do
a
that.
lot of times we see the yeah we all a lot of times we see the success and the execution on the things, but we don't see the failure. I
Yes.
started a before the pandemic, right before the pandemic, partner of mine and myself, we worked at the same jurisdiction in law enforcement. He's my partner. We started a security company,
Hmm.
and it was an executive protection company. So the guys that you see like in suits, uh, traveling around with the dignitaries and to their different locations, and you jump out and you just making sure they're secure. We started that type of company before the
Nice.
pandemic.
Hmm.
Well, that company failed.
Hmm.
I lost a lot of money in that company. Me and that guy, we part ways. That was my first taste of, well, I won't say it's my first taste of entrepreneurship. That's my first legal taste of entrepreneurship.
Got
And we'll talk about the other stuff later. But that business failed. I
it.
lost a lot of money in that business. That partnership is no longer exists. I don't even talk to that guy anymore. We just parted ways, right? But the only thing about it, through that failure, it taught me a lot. It taught me I do not have to work for anybody. It taught me that I can do it on my own. That
Yes.
educational piece where I told you guys where I did not like education, it actually had me, I would say it gave me a love for education. I wanted to know more. So where education will come from different forms where you're in the classroom. I don't like that part of education, where you're learning about the sciences, chemistry, and all that. But I love the education of entrepreneurship, of business, of
Right.
finding out different things, of
Mm-hmm.
creating things. Right? That's what I like. I love. So that business failed. I started a T-shirt line, a apparel line called Truth Wear Attire. That's also on Instagram. Truth Wear Attire, where we spread the word one design at a time. Right? And it was through biblical principles. So my wife one day
Yes.
sitting on the couch, she was coming up with different ideas. I said, you know what, we should turn this to a apparel line. So we started that. The thing is with the apparel line, that company, even though that company's still going and it does pretty well as far as just being consistent in sales, um, that wasn't the money maker, right? I thought
Mm-hmm.
this was gonna be the money maker. I'm gonna make six figures a month in apparel. I should have known better, right? So after when the pandemic hit, my youngest daughter became malnourished. She wasn't drinking anything, she didn't want to eat anything, and she
Oh
was losing a
wow.
lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up in the hospital with her for 3 days. And that was like the most scariest part of my life, right? And so I said to myself, okay, before I go into that, I called my job. I said, hey, I thought I was gonna have to be in for a day, but they said we're gonna be in for 3 days. So my job was just like, well, we're gonna need you to do this, gonna do this, because
Mm-hmm.
you're missing so many hours, whatever. So I got the phone, and the first thing came to my mind, I never want to put my family in a position where I have to choose my job over them.
That's the one.
So I knew, so the entrepreneur bug was hit.
Yeah.
So I had a failed business. I had the clothing line going, but I knew the clothing line was not going to be my exit strategy to get out that job. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there brainstorming. My daughter's out the hospital at this point. We start looking around for different daycares because she had to have a certain amount of nutrition for her bottle to start back gaining weight, right?
Right.
So then I said, you know what? I told my wife, I said, quit your job. My wife, she has her doctorate. She's in education, and she's making way more money than I was. I told her to quit her job, like literally, I'm not playing. So I
Mm-hmm.
told her to quit her job. I took my kids out of school because they wasn't able to keep up with the healthcare regulations that the doctor told that they need to have. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, take them out of school because I'm not going to let daycares be in control of
Right.
what they need. But my wife knows best for them. So I
Mm-hmm.
told her quit her job, and I told him I brought my kids out of daycare. So now I'm praying, and I'm like, Lord, I said I'm leaning all faith on you.
Yeah.
I said literally, I felt like the three Hebrew boys that was getting thrown in
The
the fire
fire.
furnace, and they
Yes.
was like, go ahead and throw us in because we already know He's coming for us, whether we
That's the
die in this
one.
fire or not. So then I told my wife to quit her job, told my kids bring them out of school, right? And so then I said, man, I have to do something in order to bring an income in, right? So then I found wholesaling. I started going online wholesaling real estate. What wholesaling is basically you find a property that's distressed, you assess it, run comps on it. When the property's fixed up, what it would sell for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So um, then you find an end buyer, and you basically assign them the property, and you get the spread out the middle. So let's just give quick little numbers to kind of get through it. You find a property, and the owner sells it to you for 20,000. You sell it to the buyer for 25,000. At the table, they get the property. The original seller gets 20,000. You get 5,000 out the middle, right?
Gotcha.
So that's wholesaling, and you
Gotcha.
literally need no money, no credit to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have any money, any credit to get started. I just used whatever things like free tools I can get online. And my first paycheck from wholesaling, literally of a few hours of work, I made $3,500. And
Nice.
then the next deal after that, I made 7,500. The next
Mm-hmm.
deal after that, I made 10,000. The next deal after that, I made 25,000. So like, man, it really hit me. I was like,
God.
yo, you walk different. You walk different at
Yeah.
your job when money coming in like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is I just didn't have the knowledge as far as structuring your finances once money comes in like that.
Right.
So start studying, start looking up different things, right? And then I said, you know what? I said, okay, before I leave my job, let me go ahead and structure a plan to where I can have a cool exit strategy, right? But sometimes things don't work out the way you want them to, right? Sometimes things work out the way the Most High say it needs to work
Yeah.
out. So during this time, COVID's going on, and my job's starting to put pressure on people as far as like getting tested, the vaccine, and all this type of stuff, right? And I'm a pretty healthy guy, and one thing about entrepreneurship that I love about it, no one's regulated to tell me to do whatever. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not like, of course, there's regulation in certain things that you do, but in certain industries, but like with real estate, I'm not regulated on buying a house, flipping it up, or whatever. I don't have nobody give me mandates and things of that nature.
Right.
Like I set my own schedule. I'm in control of my destiny,
You are
right?
in
And as
control.
good as that sound, yeah, as good as that sound, that can be hard, right? So
Hmm.
then I said, you know what? I got to figure out something to do. This leading off into the dump trucking thing. So simultaneously, I launched a podcast. I'm in the midst of like trying to find out, figure out what to do. Then I found dump trucking. I connected with a guy called Cruise Trucking off Instagram.
Hmm.
Had a consultation with him, two consultations with him. I paid $500 per consultation. He basically gave me the game on how to get into dump trucking. I went and got my CDL.
Yes, sir.
Um, took a leave of absence from work, got my CDL, and to be honest with you, I boxed. So during sparring one day, I tore my Achilles in CDL school the second week.
Oh.
And then they was like, you gotta go see a doctor. I did not go see a doctor. I went the
Uh-oh.
rest of CDL school limping in a boot, not a medical boot, but just the
Determined.
regular boots I wear. Yeah, so I got my CDL and got my first dump truck, and that thing
How
is
you
on the
do
road
it.
moving. Yeah, and so that's how I got into dump truck and answer your original question. Yeah,
Love it, love it, love it. Bottom line is, he said, listen, yeah, my daughter got something going on. This job talking about some days. I ain't got time for y'all. I got to push through for my family. I got to do what
exactly.
needs to be
It's
done
either
for my family. So I got to research. That's one of the things I want people to understand. Information is not going to just come to you. You have to research. Even when you see people who look like they up on social media, some stuff is a mirage. You have to research. You have to do your own research. Do your own due diligence so you can know what's going to work for you, what you are able to do, and what you can monetize on. Thank you so much for sharing that, Reggie. So now you're a podcaster. Tell us a little more about that, and now how are the dynamics with your family now? Is your wife continuing to like homeschool? Like how does that look for you guys?
yeah. Well, everything. Okay, let me say this real quick. I want people to understand this, right? This I got this from Neo, and I really truly believe this.
Neo's
And I got an
dope.
ebook that's
He's so dope.
I got an ebook that's coming out in March. I'm gonna be doing the pre-orders next week, and it's
Let's
called
go.
Developing the Entrepreneur Mindset: The 7 Mistakes That Entrepreneurs Make. I want people to understand, like, it's either, he said this one time, it either has to work or it has to work.
Don't have to work.
So everything I put my mind to do, I never had a plan B. I never said, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna go back to my job. I said this
Mm.
has now. I
Yes,
wouldn't suggest
sir.
people to do it the way I did it, but I would say, no, if you know what you want to do, start making a plan on how you're gonna do it and just do it.
Do
And
it.
sometimes it's not gonna look pretty. For example, this podcast today, we've been going through technical
Facts.
issues, right? But I said, you know what? It's not about the quality and what's going on. It's about the substance of this, right?
Right.
So it's either it has to work or it has to work.
Hmm.
To answer your question, as far as the podcast, everything's doing great. My wife's still homeschooling. She's never going back to work,
Yeah.
right? My kids are homeschooled. They're doing really great. My oldest daughter has all A's in
Hmm.
school.
Yeah.
The curriculum is way better than the public school systems. They're doing great, man. I got into real estate investing. I mean, I can't complain. I can't complain.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So you tapped into, now you flip homes. You have you have the dump truck company going. You're podcasting. You got an ebook coming out this month. I want y'all to understand how rapid this thing is working for him because he has a made up mind. Tell the people, you have this ebook coming out about mindset. Give them something to help them understand your mind is what controls everything. What would you say to this audience right now about mindset?
So the reason why I wrote the ebook, Developing the Entrepreneur Mindset, solving the 7 mistakes that entrepreneurs make, because I feel like whether you are an experienced entrepreneur or you want to get into entrepreneurship, the biggest thing is we just want to dive in, but number one, we don't know our why. We don't even know why we want to be an entrepreneur and what we're even
Mm,
doing it for. So the why I want to be an entrepreneur, because I love the freedom, right? And freedom is perspective. The freedom is, for me, I like to be able to get up. When I was working my police job, I would get up at 4 a.m. every morning because I had to be at work at 6. I had to,
right.
right? I was forced to. Now I get up at 4:30 every morning because I want to. Get
Yeah.
up at 4:30 every morning. I pray. I read my word. I read my book. I get on the morning meetup. I start answering emails after the morning meetup. I'm getting that. I'm getting it right. That's because I want to.
Right.
Um, that's what entrepreneurship gives me. It also gives me the freedom to where if I'm sick, I'm not feeling good, I don't have to call in to work. If I want to take a vacation with my family, I don't have to set up time to. That's the freedom for me, right? Um, and the why I do it is for my wife, my kids, and my nation.
Yes.
So, and when I say my nation, I mean my nation of people within my church, within the same beliefs, like my community or whatever. Like, for my wife, I want her to have the freedom to where she's not worried about bills. That's all on me.
Yeah.
She's not worried about things getting paid. If she wants to go out with her friends and get a massage or get nails done or whatever, like she don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? She don't have
Hmm.
to worry about, oh well, we're gonna be able to pay the light bill. I want my kids, if they want a piece of candy or they want a game or if they want clothes, I can just give it to them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I want to show that example and not show an example of struggle like I did growing up. So that's my why. I want to also get back to my community where, like, if people want to start a business or people need clothes, food, or shelter, or whatever, I want to be able to provide those things. That's my why. So I think that's the
Mhm.
number one thing in mindset. You need to know your why. The
Yeah.
number two thing is and I'm still in this from Neo also, right?
Neo's
Stop
dope.
sharing your man. Yeah. And my thing is, I heard him say a quote, and this is why I don't mind doing it. He says nothing wrong being a copycat as long as you
Long as you
copying the
copying
right
the
cat,
right cat. I
as
said
long as you're
yes,
driving the cat.
Neo.
So
Fire.
yeah, so exactly, and these are methods that hadn't been told before, right?
Right.
They're
Right.
they're just regurgitated in different ways.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
stop sharing your minds with small-minded people. So like when I said I wanted to do a dump truck CDL and start flipping houses, I didn't talk to nobody about it but my wife. And my wife, I didn't talk to her about for her to prove it. It's always good to just have somebody if you can share your ideas with. But she's always been supportive. So one thing
Shout out to
about
my
me,
husband. Thank you, God.
yeah, exactly. You gotta have that support. But if you don't have that support, you have to believe in yourself enough to just do
Right.
it. And but stop sharing your mind with people that's not going to agree with you, because some people that I talk about in my book, number one, they're gonna drag you down. Number two, they have insecurities about themselves that they put
That's
onto
the
you.
one.
And then you
Hmm.
always have that scarcity person that's, well, are you sure that's
What
gonna
if?
work?
What if?
What
What
about the
if?
market? Yeah, when I said I wanted to flip houses, I didn't care about the market. How people they say, oh man, we're finna have all this forbearance gonna go foreclosures and
Hmm.
people are not really that market's not hot like it was over the summer. Man, I said, listen, if I don't do it, and I could be missing out on 60,000, 80,000, 100,000, $200,000 this year just because I'm listening to small-minded individuals
That's
for telling
it.
me not to do it.
Right.
You know, so and I'm gonna give you the one last thing because I can go through all they talking about this. It's the fear of failure.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that a lot of people before they get into entrepreneurship, they focus on trying to get off into it, but they don't think about if I fail.
Hmm.
I failed the security business
Hmm.
and I lost a lot of money and I lost a relationship in that miss.
Hmm.
That can bring on a lot of stress.
Right.
Departing from somebody.
Hmm.
But I'm glad I had that failure at an early time of entrepreneurship, because what it did, it taught me that I have the guts to do it, right?
Yes.
And it taught me that through those failures, I can learn from it and not do it. Through the t-shirt line, even though it's not as successful I would love it to be, I see like, okay, I need to get more education in any industry that I dive into. That's why call my podcast Count the Cost, because the Bible speak of like what man buildeth up a tower without counting the
Got
cost,
count
without taking
counts.
your measurement,
Yeah.
without finding out hey, it's gonna cost this much for this. I need to look for this person. I need to get this person to get this thing done. So fear of failure. Do not be scared to fail. Matter of fact, without success, without failure, you're
Failure
not going to
is no
have
success.
success.
That's the one.
You know, I heard somebody said this. People say, "Well, I got a testimony." Well, you have to have a test to have a testimony.
That's it.
My testimony in entrepreneurship that I failed the business first. I want you to know that I failed, and when I tell y'all I lost a lot of money, like I'm talking about contracts that I already had.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
talking about things that I couldn't fulfill. Different logistics. Having a partner that say they're going to do one thing, but they do something totally different. Not having things in writing. Not being educated on partnership. Whose job and what in this business. Okay, yeah, we have a 50-50 stake. And that's another thing. I don't do 50-50 partnerships no
Hmm.
more. If I'm going to actually start a business with somebody. But if you're going to have partnerships, okay, what's that person's job? What's your job? And have it in writing, so when you guys come back to the table, hey, your job's supposed to be this, my job is this, and keeping each other accountable. So even leaving that relationship and having that failure, I learned a lot from it.
Hmm.
And I'm not scared to fail.
That's the
you know
one.
I'm not scared to
Can't be
fail.
scared to fail because it may happen. It absolutely may happen. And like I said, we go into these conferences and you on the morning meetup and you'll hear people share like, listen, I got denied 12 times, but that 13th time, that was the one. But they didn't give up because they kept failing. They kept it pushing like this. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. The mind was already made up that I know what I'm supposed to be doing. So there is no plan B. There is, let me push.
Exactly.
Okay, this didn't work. Let me try this thing. This didn't work. Let me try this thing. But the plan didn't change. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, your whole dynamics change in reference to your mindset. You're like, listen, I'm stuck on what happened with your child because I get it. I absolutely get it. And everything you're saying is confirmation for me and my husband. I'm glad he's on because, like you said, you can't keep having conversations and entertaining people that are small minded. And that's okay. It is absolutely okay that everybody doesn't have the same ambitions as you, but you have to stick to your plan. So I'm excited for you. Make sure you guys pay attention. Follow him on social media, Count the Cost Podcast, follow Truth Apparel. Listen, he got some dope stuff. Like he's definitely downplaying. He's definitely downplaying it. He got some dope
Hmm.
stuff. Um, what else? What is next for Reggie Reynolds besides the ebook that's coming?
Yeah, and listen, since we had the technical stuff, we can keep going or whatever to, like, I think
Okay,
45 or something
yeah,
like
because
that if you got the time.
I'm watching the time too. I know.
Yeah, we can
I
keep on
really got
going.
to
So if
stay
you
at
got
that
another
mark
question before
because
that.
I got to go back to work. I got to go back to work. See, this is him
Gotcha.
also convicting me, y'all. This is also God because me and him had conversations. Thank you for joining those who are on Instagram, but we had conversations about me also being in law enforcement and what I'm going through in this time. And I know that God is moving and there may be some failures, but I'm here for it because I know the God that I serve. I know who I am in God. So this is what it looks like right now, technical difficulties or whatever you see in the beginning, but watch what God has in store. So thank you so much for sharing that, Reggie. But continue. I'm sorry I cut you up, but I just had to say that.
No, you're good. So what I have going on in the future. So one thing I want to say is that start writing down your goals and start writing down a plan what you're going to do. So last year, towards the end of last year, I set a real estate goal. I said I want to flip a minimum of 4 houses, and I want to make between, if I partner with somebody, I want to make at least 20 grand. If I do
Mhm.
it myself, I want to make at least 40 grand off
Mhm.
each house.
Okay.
I want to have 4 rentals. I want to lease cash flow of $300 to $500 per door, right?
Okay.
Um, so far, I got one house I'm finishing to flip up, and I
I
got
saw
two
that.
door.
Congratulations.
I'll have 3 doors because I've just got a duplex that I'm getting ready to sign a contract on, and I already have a rental
Mhm.
this year, so I have 3 doors. So
Love it.
I know it's early in the year, but that's good for me because it's my first venture doing this. On the dump trucking side, I would love to have at least 2 to 3 dump trucks this year. I know some people say put a solid number on there, but I say
Mhm.
2 to 3 because just the way the truck market is and trying to get them at a great price depends on where you at financially. So my goal is to have 2 to 3 dump trucks on the road
Mhm.
and just cash flowing for the first year. As far as the podcast, just staying consistent, put
Yeah.
out content. I'm doing a podcast tour coming up. I'll be in Atlanta in March to do some interviews and shoot some content around the city. I'll be in Philly this year and I'll be in Houston this year doing the podcast tour. I'm actually doing an event down here in Alabama called a Generational Wealthy Conference, where I'm going to have people from different industries come out and speak and help people that want to become entrepreneurs and get off into real estate, trucking, or whatever. Have people just speak at that.
Love it.
Right now, I'm in inner city schools. I teach every Thursday from 10 to 10:50, juniors and seniors on entrepreneurship to help them start their business before the summer.
Mm-hmm.
We got a few kids that's already doing that now. That's been going great. So that's a few things I have going on this year. Yeah.
Love it. I absolutely love it. So now I want you to go back a sec. You mentioned that you no longer go 50-50 in business with your partners. So what do you do?
So when what I mean by that, like let's say if you and I wanted to start like a corporation or LLC together, like someone's gonna have to get 51 and someone has to get 49, right? And that'll be determined based on whatever. And then you have to do your find out like, hey, um, what's going to be your job, what's going to be my job, or whatever, right? And I have a business consultant. That's another thing too. Find people that are smarter than you that can do things that can educate you. So my business consultant, she's all about 51-49. Depends on the scenario, right?
Mhm.
When I did the 50-50 venture with that, it was kind of hard to do a lot of exiting and things of that nature and decisions, because if you're 50-50 with somebody, then who's going to make the ultimate decision? You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
that
When it
makes
comes
sense.
down to it.
Hmm.
When it comes down to it. So what I end up doing is just letting it go and letting him have the business,
Hmm.
because
It
there was
wasn't
no need.
working. Yeah, it
It
wasn't
wasn't
working.
working.
Right.
And that's all
Right.
right. It's all right.
Absolutely. 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 You live and you learn. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So we got the podcast tour. We in Philly. We in listen, let me blow him up real quick, y'all. I think he might be anti-North, y'all, because he said something slick the first time we talked. I ain't really like that. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
You talking about New
So
York.
I do the. I say, wait, hold it, fam, hold on. We kind of cool. Some of us are cool out here. Give us
Nah,
a minute.
listen, I got some great brothers. I got some great brothers from New York, man. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. It's not I have nothing against the people in New York. It's just the laws in New York themselves
Oh
are kind of
yeah.
just, yeah, they're
Mm-hmm.
just kind of different. I'm in
It's
Alabama,
different.
man, and Alabama's the type of state I think is very it's the to me I call it the best kept secret. Like the real estate down here is very cheap. You can make a lot
Mm-hmm.
of money in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the untapped market. Um, if you want to buy you 20, 50, I think it's some acres down here. I just looked at the other day. It's like 55 acres. That's $250,000.
We'll see you
That's how much
soon.
people pay for a house. You
We'll
said
see
what
you
now?
soon. We'll see you
Yeah, and
soon.
it's like, yeah, it's just a lot of, it's very conservative down here. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
now
You
it
can kind
is.
of yeah, you do what you want on your own property or whatever.
Yeah.
So not a lot of regulations.
That's a fact. No, that's why we have listen, me and Hubs haven't done certain things we have not done here. And we're cool with it. We will travel to go do it because listen, the plan is the plan. We either winning or we winning. You know what I'm saying? A
Exactly.
different way of saying it, but that's basically what Neo was saying. Like we either doing this or we doing this. That's it. So you stick to the plan and whatever comes with it, whether you fail on one thing or you progress in another thing, you keep forward movement. That's what it's about. It's about forward movement and it's about bringing back. I have such a heart for the youth. So hearing you say, because I didn't even know that, hearing you say that you go, to the schools, you talking to the kids about different things. That is what this is about. There's no point in, that's why I have so much respect for Master P and who was it that was there? What's the other one? I'm drawing a blank. Shaq, all these different people that they'll show that they
Yeah.
give back to communities. They're not just making money and just being braggadocious about it. They're actually giving back to the communities, and that's what we're supposed to do. Even though we seem like regular people, the gifts that we do have that are working, we should be passing it on to our generation as well as those beneath us because they need to be able to actually physically see like, oh, I can actually do this. He's from where I'm from. He's from Alabama. Oh, what? He's from Vance, Alabama. I'm from such and such. They need to be able to physically see and know like this is possible. So we're that possibility, for this generation. We're that possibility for the youth. We're that possibility for those who are coming after us. When we're in the dirt, we're that possibility for that person. Your name may be in a book, some years down the line, like, no, Reggie Reynolds, oh yeah, he was a big entrepreneur. He went from being a police officer to this and he had to, take he had to make sacrifice and say, no, I want this for my family. And he did this. That was back in 2022. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this thing is bigger than us. So, thank you so much for taking out time. I know you're busy, and, this
Yeah,
blesses my
and not
heart.
and listen,
I'm
not to
humble.
interrupt you. I don't want the glory. Like, I know
It's
you mentioned
God.
like names, and I know you I know you talked about names and books. Like, the reason why you didn't know about me being in school is because I don't talk about it. I
Mhm.
don't take pictures and put that stuff on social media and things of that
Humble.
nature. And it ain't about that for me. Some
Yeah.
people, and not to say I'll never be on camera in the school or something like that. That's not to
Mhm.
say that, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm just saying for me, I don't come in with my phone, set it up, and well, this is gonna be a cool
Mhm.
thing I can put on Instagram. Like,
Right.
that's not what I do it for. I'm really legit serious. Want to help the youth out and other people out there that really want to be entrepreneurs
Yeah.
and things of that nature. And it's been a great journey for me. I just got to get all glory and praise to the Most High Higher, and he
Yes.
just been doing this thing. That I am. Hmm.
Yes. Yes. Well, and that's confirmation. I just saw that this morning. I am the I am. Wow. I know it's God.
Hmm.
I know it's God. So we got the ebook coming out this March. We got the podcast tour. We have. I know you want to want to meet up. Listen. You already know the situation. My schedule is. I'll be trying to be on there, and we paying $8 a month, and I'm still like, when I can get on, I get on because ain't no excuses. We doing what we have to do. Um, I was gonna ask you something that just got thrown. So you said your wife is good. She's not working, homeschooling the kids. The kids are good. You're flipping homes now. You have the box truck. You have now how many
Dump truck,
students is
dump
that?
truck.
Dump truck, excuse me. You have the dump truck going. You have the entrepreneur um classes that you're doing at the schools. Is there any other area that you would like to tap into? You're doing real estate. I'm sorry if I didn't mention that. um would you go back into, now knowing what you know, would you go back into starting a business with the security and have someone else run it for you?
No, that's another thing. I didn't like going back to that why I didn't know. I only did it because so even though I got some experience in policing, he had the experience in executive protection because that's what he
Mhm.
did a lot. Now I
Mhm.
figured I was like, okay, you know what? I can do the back end stuff, and you can focus on, and
What
we
you
can both
do.
focus on going out and getting contracts. But you know the details on how to get guys, how these event goes, and things of that nature. So
Mhm.
that's how we was going to kind of tackle that thing. But I didn't have a passion for it, so it's not
Gotcha.
like no, I wouldn't do that. And as
Mhm.
far as my focus is just real estate, creating generational wealth through real estate, getting more assets. Because real estate, man, it's like a whole, it's like
It's
a
like an
whole
open
nother
heaven.
game, man.
Yeah.
It's like a whole nother game, man. I think anybody that don't really know like what they want to do or they got a product or service, I say do real estate.
Do you
I
have a
say
real
do
estate
real estate.
license? I took the
No,
course
you
and
don't.
haven't taken my test yet, and that's what I wanted you to bring up, that you don't even have to have a license.
No, no. I actually, if you go to my Instagram and click the link in my link tree, I have the real estate success course that I'm a part of.
Mhm.
You type in the promo code, count the cost, you get 10% off. That
Nice.
is the best thing I've ever done. It was definitely worth the money that I spent. Coach Johnny, the military CEO, he's like super phenomenal. Because
Mhm.
the thing is, in less than 2 months, I'm finna make 60 grand.
Love it.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's some people's salaries.
That's a
You know what
fact.
I'm saying? They make a year. And
That's a
I already
fact.
have another flip that's on the contract, and I got another duplex on the contract. So, I mean, it's just the real estate game. I'm just
There's
focusing on
money to
that
be
this year.
made. Yeah, there's money to be
If
made.
you flip, listen, if you flip 25 homes this year at $40,000 per home, you're a millionaire.
Right. Right. So do you
Think
see
about
that?
that.
Do you see that? Yeah. Do you see that for you this year? That you can hit that mark?
So, I'm gonna tell you, my financial goal is I'm shooting for a million, but my actual target goal is 270,000 this year profit. That's my
Why
goal.
that particular number?
Because both my wife and I together, our income we brought in 90,000
Hmm.
before she quit her job a year, and so I just times that times three.
Love it.
So I said if I 3x 90,000 the first year of me actually going at this in a strategic manner, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. You
Love
know
it.
what I'm
Love it. Love
saying?
it.
But I am shooting for the million, so I'm shooting above the 270. And with the dump truckings and the flipping houses, I definitely can get there. and I'm just staying focused on those things.
Mm-hmm.
I may have something come in the future as far as the conferences and things of that nature I do around the city and speaking engagements. But
Mm-hmm.
really, I'm focused on real estate, dump trucking, and podcast. The podcast, I'm just trying to make as many connections as I can. I want to talk to many successful entrepreneurs. I want to know their
Doing it.
stories.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know their stories because check this out. My story, I thought my story was deep. Some of the people I brought on, man, they got some incredible
Yeah.
stories on how they started. And
Mm-hmm.
they're making like one lady I had, she started in real estate literally with no savings, no nothing, $15 in her checking account, and she made $400,000 last year.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? And
It can
so
be done.
she's only been doing it for 3 years, and she's
Mm.
super successful. And she ain't come from nothing. A wife with a bunch of kids. So those type of stories I want to know,
Yeah.
and I want to know those type of journeys and things of that nature. So with the podcast, I just want to connect with as many people I can and just have conversations like we're having now.
Absolutely. Listen, thank you so much for coming on. Listen, everybody, I need you guys to tap into what this man is talking about. There's money to be made. There's freedom. There is freedom. That's the word I want to use. There is freedom if you tap in and if you do the work. A lot of us looking for a get rich quick scheme, and trust me, they have those out there, and you will be hurt in the end. So if you do the work, you educate yourself, and your environment looks like what you want to see for yourself, you're good. Your mindset is focused on what you see for yourself. You're gonna be good. One of the other things I wanted to share was that he shared that he has a consultant. You want to have people over you that are not going to hurt you, who are educating this thing, who are not, they don't need to hurt you. This is what they do. You want to have mentors who are successful in the things that you desire. You want to have people over you that can say, okay, this won't be a smart move, do it this way. This will work better, and this is what you're going to have. If this is your goal, this is the plan that you want to do it A, B, and C in this particular order, like that. So thank you for sharing that. Make sure you follow him, Count the Cost Podcast, on all social media platforms. I am just in awe. I am just in awe and thankful for his humbleness, for coming on How Michael Lady Sheep podcast on the afternoon, during lunch, during brunch, whatever y'all call it. Um, Subscribe to High Mike Leadership Podcast. Subscribe, people. I know y'all love watching the interviews, but I need you to subscribe. I will be on Apple Podcasts soon. And we out here trying to do this thing. Thank you so much again, Reggie, for coming on. Guys, make sure you follow him on Count the Cost Podcast. Listen, humble beginnings. He
Appreciate it.
told you, listen, I went through A, B, and C. I had some failures under my belt, but look at what God is doing. I know who I am, and I know what I see for myself. That's why you have to see it before you see it. You can't just be doing lip service and telling yourself, I'm going to do this. You got to see it before you see it. When you can have a visual of it, that thing looks like it's going to happen. So if you already got your mind and your thoughts and the vision connected, it's going to connect. Be careful and be mindful of those around you. Pay attention to the energy of those you share things with. Don't be afraid when God says to you, I didn't release for you to share this with this person. Don't take it personal. It's God. He knows better. He sees beyond what we can see. So, even tapping into my story, when I got my house, the only person I told was a praying woman in my I even tell my own mother, God bless the dead. God did not release me to tell her. And I didn't dwell on why. I just did what he said, and then it happened. And all I did was just announce it. No one knew anything. And sometimes that's how God has to deal with us, to get in your quiet place, meditate, pray, stay in your word, be specific in what you're asking God for, and he will move in that thing by your faith. So, Reggie, thank you so much. God bless you. God bless your family, your wife, your children. And I'm excited to see what else God is going to do in your life. I'm excited to see how many other people you will touch with this platform. I know it's divine connections having us connect the way we did, because there was like over 200 something people, in that course that we took, and somehow me and him, it's intentional, it's God. So support this man, everything he is doing. Get ready for him to come into your city, because he's doing this podcast tour. And if this is the energy that he has while he's starting, you can only imagine what there is to come, and it's to God be all the glory. If you had one thing to say to the viewers, what would you say to them? And then we're gonna close.
One thing I would say, well, first before I say that, I wanted to do a surprise on your show. I'm glad I just remembered it. So I want to do a giveaway to anybody you choose.
Awesome.
You just let me know. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
If y'all want to know how I'm getting into real estate and how I'm getting ready to make 60K in the first 2 months of this year, I'm giving away my coach free book right here. It's
Yeah.
free book. It's
I have that book.
Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategies on what they didn't teach you in school. He autographed the book. And his key phrase that he always tells us in class is to take action.
Love it. Take
So
action.
this is a great book. It teaches you not only his journey, but different testimony stories in here on how they were successful in real estate. But he also teaches you the strategies on how to flip a home, wholesaling, rentals, and things like that. So you're gonna get an exclusive copy, the actual physical copy, because
Nice.
it actually just launched a few weeks ago. So you get a free copy from me. I'm gonna let her choose. She's gonna tell me who the winner is, and then I'm
Ah,
gonna ship you out a book. Yeah,
you're killing me, Smalls. Now I gotta think. Oh man. All right. So this gonna be behind the scenes because I can't think right now. He put me under pressure. Oh man,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
Listen, thank you so much. And like, listen, or you that right there alone is just testament to how I described you before I even let you come on. Super
yeah,
humble. Has no problem sharing. He gonna keep it a buck because he, what I'm saying, been there, done that. This is what this is. So thank you so much. Like I said, God bless you and your family. Continue to go forth, and your journey continue to be
yeah.
unapologetically you. Continue to be the salt of this earth. Continue to be the light
Mm.
in this dark world. And
And,
continue to bless us, man. Continue to bless us. Thank you
yeah,
so
and
much.
it's for an answer your takeaway. I would just say is, and this is gonna sound cliche as I don't know what, but I just hold true to it. I just say have. I believe in the God of the Bible. That's what I
Yeah.
believe in.
Hmm.
If you don't believe in that, that's your business. I believe
Hmm.
in the God of the Bible. I believe in every story, everything. And so I have faith. I
Yeah.
say I have faith in the Most High, but it say faith without works is dead. So not
Dead.
only I gotta have faith, I gotta do the work. So I say have faith is the first step. Once you have faith, you prayed about it, and you believe that this is true. I say the second thing is get you a piece of paper. Say, hey, I want to make this much this year. Okay,
Write it down and
then
make it
you need
plain.
that. That's the what. You need to put when. You need to put a date on it. Okay. So January what to December 31st. Okay. I need to make this amount of money. How are you gonna do it? Pick something. If you selling candles, if you doing real estate, if you doing t-shirts, if you doing trucking, I don't care what it is. Put the how. After the how, put the strategy. Map it out. Say I gotta
Yes.
make this much a month, this much a week, this much a day, whatever. But put a map on it. If you're a photographer and your rate is, if you want to say, well, I want to make six figures I want to make $100,000 in photography this year. Find out what your rate is. Find out how many clients pictures you need to take a week to get paid per month in order to get those six figures, right? And it don't have to be
Yes.
six figures. It could be 20,000, 10,000, whatever your goal is. Just set a goal and make it small and attainable and measurable. So set your goals and actually make a plan and execute. That's the biggest takeaway I can tell you. Execute. I don't care how you do it. It don't have to be perfect. Just do
Right.
it.
Do it.
Just do it, and you're gonna learn along the way. And your goal is gonna expand more and more, and you're gonna see the plan before you. So even if the plan's not perfect, just do it. Do something.
Do something. That's the
That's
one.
my takeaway.
Love it, love it, love it.
Hmm.
Listen, everybody, Reggie Reynolds, Count the Cost podcast. He is on Spotify. He is on, what's the other platforms? Real quick.
I'm on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's not gonna cost you anything. Go through all my interviews. I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Google Play. I'm on Instagram. But definitely hit my YouTube channel up and Apple or Spotify. Subscribe, download. I appreciate you guys. It's free. It's free. I'm
It's
telling
free,
you.
people.
Yeah, yes. I appreciate it. Appreciate
It's
it.
free and it could change your life. Thank me later. Thank him later and thank me later. Love it, love it, love it. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. I pray and I hope that this was worth your lunch, your brunch, whatever it is, time you take your meal. I pray that this was life changing. I pray that God nudged on your spirit for what you've been wanting to do and you've been not doing for whatever reason. I pray that Reggie's story is what gave you that push to say, you know what? God has never no respect of person. If he can do this, I can do this. I got this thing. And even if I fail, I'm gonna get back up again and try again. So thank you once again, Reggie. Everyone enjoy your day. Tap this man. Look into his page right now. If you're on your phone is in your hand, that means you got time. Check out his page. He has some dope guests on his page. I've been following each and every one of them, listening while I'm in my car. I'm listening to his podcast, and I got my own podcast. So you already know, iron sharpens iron. So please, sir, please, ma'am, do yourself a favor. Tap into this young man. He is moving. Look out for his ebook, March, which is in 2 seconds. Look out for his ebook. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Next month is Women's History Month. I am super excited. There's some amazing powerhouses coming on the platform next month. I am like bubbling over. I just want to grow because this platform is to educate, encourage, and to empower. So let's do it, y'all. We either winning or we winning, and we out. Thanks, Reggie. Have a good day, everybody.
All right,
Later.
count the cost. Prepare before you dive in.
That's it. Count the cost.
Peace.
Prepare before you dive in. Later.